What's happening? What's happening? It's the Sports Counterpoints podcast. Today is December the 6th, 2022. I'm GB, Brian, Coop. What's up, guys?
Going on, fellas?
Doing good. I think
Yeah.
we all won again this weekend too.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
you, Coop, rapping.
We got a new
Talked about
quarterback. I'm happy about. So
you probably have another one in 2 weeks, the way y'all run through QBs. Y'all run through QBs like draws, man. It's crazy. But
You just
anyway,
got to make sure you don't put them on any of your fantasy teams, Glenn.
never.
yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I've had every
Yeah,
yeah,
you had them all when they got injured in your starting lineup.
yeah.
Trey Lance and Garoppolo.
Yeah, Trey Lance's first game. Dang, I couldn't even get a
Right.
TD out the boy.
Right. You know what I'm
Sheesh.
saying? Not even a Russian TD. I hear you.
Sheesh. Yeah, so we're talking college football today. We talk a little bit about prime time, sliding to Colorado, a little bit about the NBA, and a little bit about the World Cup as it's in full swing. So let's start with college football, man. This was a pretty damn good weekend if you're in a just college football fanery. If you were a fan of certain teams, it wasn't as great as it could be. But I mean,
Yeah,
let's get to it.
Brian, get USC out the way. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
let's do
Just
it.
give me your thoughts real quick. We'll get it out the way.
Well, then my thoughts are simple. I mean, when they went out there, they scored two quick touchdowns. They took a lead. Caleb Williams got hurt, could not throw with off of his left leg, so he couldn't drive because he was. Anytime you try and throw a deep ball with a right-handed person, you're driving off your left. He couldn't do that. He couldn't run. He couldn't be mobile, and he just wasn't as effective as a quarterback. He was arm throwing a lot, which is how he got an extra pick for 4 on the season. And
That's true.
ultimately, they couldn't do what they needed to do to win that game. The moment Caleb got injured, it was over. And they tried really hard. I turned it off with before they scored kind of the garbage touchdowns at the end of the game.
Hmm.
The reality of it is they went in there with the ability to win that game. They had a good game plan. Use Caleb Williams and hope he can do enough to win the game, and he got injured and it wasn't enough. Hats off to Utah. They played tough. They played determined. They went in there with a game plan to play a tough football game, to try and take their best punches early and try and win a game late, and they did exactly that. And for that, they get to go to the Rose Bowl, and we'll see. We'll see where everyone's already speculating SC is going to end up at the Holiday Bowl down in San Diego, which would be a very, very sad outcome for a very
A
talented
holiday
team.
ball.
I'm looking forward to what USC is able to put together next year. They already have a ton of commitments from a ton of talent for what will likely be a top 5 class when it's all said and done. And so it'll be interesting to see what they're able to come back and build off of a really great season. And they're really lucky to have a likely Heisman winner be able to come back just like Stroud did, and have a ton of talent on the offensive side, and hopefully bring in and develop some talent on the defensive side. Go ahead, Jason.
All right. Well, USC is playing Tulane in their bowl game.
Yep.
It's USC. I don't know what bowl they're in. It's probably the Henry Rooster Holiday. I mean, whatever. It's these damn bowl.
Go.
I'm actually trying to find out what it is. Oh, the Cotton Bowl. It's in Dallas.
The Cotton Bowl, yeah.
Cotton Bowl. So they're there. Okay. So it's USC
That's
-2.
right.
I think they lose the game because I just don't think they'll be motivated. I mean, they had a chance to play
Well, I don't think
Utah and
anyone's
win.
playing.
Oh, really?
I
Okay,
think,
maybe that too.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Addison's not going to play. He's going to go to the draft. He has opt
Okay.
out. He's not going to go. There's no reason for him to play in a bowl
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
with a month off. And then if you're Caleb, quite honestly, if you're the coach and he's so much as a twinge anywhere near
Yeah.
his leg, you don't let him play.
Yeah. Especially.
So
And he's not even draft eligible, but I still wouldn't let him play.
no,
But
I
yeah.
wouldn't let him play. Like
Yeah. Hats off to Utah. They're the most physical team in the Pac-12 right now. I think back-to-back Pac-10 champions. They beat Oregon last year. I was rooting for USC. Not going to lie. I thought it'd be just more interesting to have USC in the college football playoff. It didn't happen. We have what we have in the playoff now. No real opinion, but for USC, the calling card is going to be getting that defense together. So we'll see what they can do
Yeah.
in the transfer portal and recruiting for the defense. And then that's the only way they'll be able to compete. But I will tell you this, Brian, this is what I wanted to say for the podcast. I heard some USC fans talking before the Notre Dame game that they did not want USC to make the college football playoff. Number one, because they didn't think they would be ready to compete. But number two, Lincoln Riley's record against the playoff competition or these championship games is not too good because his
You
teams
weren't
usually
talking
get
to
out
USC
physical.
fans. You were talking to people who want to lie about knowing USC. There's no USC fans who were saying they didn't want their team in the college football playoffs in
Yeah,
their
it was a few.
first year because the recruiting power that making those playoffs has. I mean, you can get 4 or 5 players to
That's
turn
true.
their mind just by being there.
That's true,
Getting
but they
whooped
were
or not.
saying they want to avoid watching another embarrassing loss. I didn't get it. I'd rather them go because everything
Like I
USC
said,
done, they're
you
playing
were
with house
talking to
money.
USC fans. If they're
So,
watching the show, you all ain't USC fans.
so yeah, but that's all. That's all my comments. Glenn, any games that caught your attention you want to talk about?
Man, I thought that Utah game was crazy. It was going down, and then Utah
Interesting.
just was overpowering them
Right.
at the end. Once, yeah, like you said, once Caleb got hurt, it kind of was just what it was. But it was a fun game to watch. I watched them all, man. I watched TCU get smoked by Kansas, right? No, Kansas.
I don't know. Smoke. They only won by 3, but
Yeah, they won.
They were getting got though for a lot of that game, and then
They
TCU
came back later.
back.
Yeah, they was down
TCU came back
28-20.
then, but they were getting manhandled a little bit, but they made it a showing. They
Oh, don't
lost.
worry, they'll get manhandled in their next game. Don't worry against
Oh
Michigan.
man,
Yeah,
they was dang close now. Like it could have easily been a much larger loss, but they pulled it out. And then I watched the Georgia game too. They had LSU, right?
yeah.
And that game was good too. Georgia just was going crazy. And you could kind of see it feels like since they won that championship and beat them Alabama boys, they rolling. So
Well, look at those first year coaches. Brian Kelly at LSU, Lincoln Riley USC. They already made their championship. They're already both ahead of schedule, really. To be honest with you, in their first year. I mean, that's not easy to do. Install your system. You don't have your players, and you still go that far. So yeah. I mean, hats off to them. I'm actually looking forward to watching Ohio State and Georgia. To be honest with you, I'm not an Ohio State fan. Ohio State crept back in, unfortunately. So we have to watch them again. But the reason why I'm interested in that game is because Georgia is favored by 7, but I think it's going to be closer than that because everybody's talking about how Ohio State got manhandled by Michigan in the last game. So all that's going to be in their head for the last month. So they're probably going to play probably one of their best or strongest games of the entire season against Georgia because everybody's been talking bad about them for the next month. The game's not until January. All they're going to hear is how soft they are. So I expect that game to be a lot closer than what people think. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I expect it to be close.
I don't understand though. I just don't understand how you can lose on this weekend. SC lost, TCU lost, TCU gets to be in. I don't think USC should be. I'm not saying that. I don't see how TCU gets to be in that game.
I think I can say that. Here, I think this is why. Because if TCU doesn't get in and Alabama gets in, they had a common opponent, Texas, and they both beat them at Texas, but TCU beat Texas by more. And I don't know if you heard Nick Saban try to politic for his team. And pretty much his
every chance he gets.
Right. And pretty much his argument was, well, they lost by 3 to 2 good teams in the SEC. So basically it wasn't his wins. It's about who they lost to and by how much. That was his argument. And his second argument was if we played TCU or any other team in the college football playoff, we would be favored. So therefore we should be in there. Not to mention he was favored against LSU and Tennessee and lost both of those games. So he didn't mention that part. But anyway, so I think if TCU
but I just don't think
Alabama gets in.
When you lose is important, right? So I was lobbying for, not that I have any lobbying power, but I was lobbying for USC when they were a 1-loss team, losing by 1 point to Utah and their home court. I thought that they should have always been considered one of the top 4, and they worked their way back into it. TCU didn't even have to work their way back into it. They got the loss by the 3 points, less than what USC lost originally. Not this one. And I don't think Alabama should have been in it. I don't think TCU should have been. I think there was other teams.
So who goes in? USC doesn't get in. TCU, Alabama, who gets in?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the question you got to answer.
Well, you have to look at it a little bit deeper than that, though, because when you look at the rankings, the problem with the rankings are a product of the problem, right? You have an organization that creates the rankings. They're the ones that left Alabama right there on the outside. They're the ones that set it up for Ohio State right there on the outside.
Right.
So, but if you look again, this is why the whole system is flawed, and it should have. I'm glad it's moving to 12, but I've always said, even when they created the first one, it should be 8. And the 5 champions for the Big Five, Power 5, should get a seat, and then it should be the next 3, which the committee can figure out. And they only had to figure out one less. But in that instance, you got probably Alabama, USC, and in there along with the other ones. Matter of fact, SC will still be in it in a year or so when they do the new 12-team one.
Well, they're still gonna be politicking for the 13th
it's
spot.
super politics.
Yeah,
Always be
UCLA,
politics.
the
That's because they
Baylors.
left it to the committee. But that's because they're leaving it to committee. Like they just gave the committee more power. But that's why I said it should be the whoever wins the conferences, those 5 automatically get in. You want to politic for 3 spots, but not for the majority of the spots.
Yeah.
This 20. I'm looking at the bottom of the 25. It's like hella pointless. They probably should just have 20 or 15 because the bottom of these teams are 8 and 4.
Man, some of them 10 through 12 teams is like it's 9 through 12. You really need them, but they're gonna get in though. I mean, you have to have a 12-team playoff because it's too much money. You can't leave all that money on the table from them TV networks. You got to have it.
Yeah, and everything I'm looking at it, it's all based on points. Like you got the winning percentages, but basically it's purely ranked by who scored the most points.
Well, also who you play, because who you play. Let's just say you play a good team, or you think is a good team, they lose to a.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a product of the results are the product of the problem. Yeah. Because the person who establishes who is a good team that they won or lost against is the people who are going to do it again. Right. It's not objective, which is why I think you need to go. They should have, and obviously at this point it will never go back. They'll never go backwards, right? They're not going to go from 12 back to 8.
Right.
It really needed to be, Power 5 conferences. And if you had done that, SC and UCLA probably don't leave the Pac-12. I've said that a number of times because they get a better shot at a playoff berth by winning the Pac-12 as opposed to, going into the Big Ten where they're going to have Ohio State, Michigan.
That makes sense.
And speaking about going to the Pac-12,
Oklahoma State going to the SEC, which was just moronic to begin with, but just got a hell of is just a horrible idea.
Yeah. And speaking of going to the Pac-12, somebody from Jackson State's going to the Pac-12. The coach, Deion Sanders. Oh yeah. I know how I feel about it. How do you feel about it?
I didn't realize they were in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're a bad Pac-12 team.
They're one win a year, doesn't make them all that noticeable.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Look, I don't even care about the move from a football perspective. It's just such a duplicitous thing for Deion Sanders to have done. I mean, anyone who has ever respected what he said, and I was one of them, and we were all one of them. We were like, oh, he's doing this for HBCUs and blah, blah, blah. No, he was not. He was doing it for Deion Sanders, and he made sure that point was 100% clear, not only in what he did, but how he did it. So if you've seen the video of him on the sideline of the SWAC game, he is literally telling his team to hurry up and get the trophy because he needs to get on a damn plane.
Yeah.
Like he's pushing people away, wanted to have a conversation with him. He was out. He was done. It wasn't any love lost. This wasn't an emotional decision at all. And then to follow it up by the speech that he went and gave to the kids who are already there. If you were a parent and you have any say in your child's decision, how do you watch that video? How do you watch how he acted and encourage your kid, black, white, green, to go and work for a coach who handled that situation the way he did? I mean, he's dead to me. Yeah. I can't wait for him to fail.
I thought his impact was be a lot greater had he stayed at Jackson State.
Absolutely.
But now he's going to Glenn, you probably don't know this.
HBCU.
Yeah, another HBCU, right?
Or going to whatever, a school that he could have created a bigger reputation.
Right. Hey, Glenn, I'm telling you right now, Colorado, I know Brian knows it, is a horrible pro. First of all, it's in Colorado. Let's start there. It's
they don't even have the money for him yet.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. Right. They admit it.
The AD came out and said, "No, we don't have the money for him yet, but I'm sure we'll find it."
Right. They can't afford his contract.
They're going to the recruiter. They're going to the
boosters will come.
Yeah, they're going to the boosters right now. The boosters are like, "Y'all have one win."
Right.
First of all, want me to give you $1 million a win?
Right. How do they get players, Glenn? That's always been Colorado's problem. How do you get people to want to go to Boulder, Colorado? Number two, how do you get NIL money? How are you going to get that? How are you going to convince somebody to play in the Pac-12 now that USC and UCLA are gone? So you're pretty much an afterthought. It's just a lot of things.
Man,
you can't use the power of for all that. Yeah, you can't use the power of the HBCU. So much of what Deion Sanders was able to say is, hey, black men, come to the HBCU, support, because you were getting players that were way, way, way too good to otherwise be in the SWAC and play at an HBCU, based on the power and the draw of going to a historically Black college. You do not have that. Colorado and Boulder are not historically Black institutions or cities. Now, it's a cool city, but they are not going to be able to go into LA and the Bay Area and
say come to Boulder, Colorado,
and say come to Detroit because what? You don't have the HBCU,
especially with players getting money. Where the NIL money gonna come from?
You have Coach Prime, who has done what? It's not like he was, winning every game.
He only lost 5 in his career.
I mean, well, none of us watch Jackson State games. None of us watch Jackson State games.
Tried.
So
me and Brian tried. We
don't know about his coaching, but I'm gonna tell you right now, from the outside looking in, he looks like a recruiter and a motivator. I don't think he's a coordinator at all. So I don't know who the hell he's gonna get.
And he's not going to be able to motivate. He's not going to be able to motivate talent. And you're at an HBCU, you have one crowd that you have to try and motivate. When you go to a Pac-12 school, you have multiple crowds you have to motivate.
Glenn,
players are not all coming from the same background, from the same place, from the same diversity class. You have, if you look at SC, you have a very large percentage of people from the Hawaiian Islands, and you get people from all over the country and different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different, financial situations. He's never had to deal with any of that. And there's nothing about him that's proven that he can transfer what he was doing at Jackson State to Colorado.
The university,
go ahead.
Oh, no, the University of Colorado, Glenn, is a colder Cal Berkeley. That's what it is. It's Cal Berkeley, just a lot colder. That's what it is.
Cold Cal Berkeley.
Yeah.
Boulder gets the most sunshine of any city in the United States.
There you go. He could sell that.
Did you see what Bomani Jones said?
What'd he say?
So Bomani Jones said that he has no one. I thought we said was really poignant though. He said he had no problem with him taking the job. You understand, the monetary gain, you understand the career gain, et cetera. He said the biggest thing that he saw it, and I'm paraphrasing was, coming out as kind of Brian and you said was like, I want to do all this for the HBCUs and the culture and this and that, and then leaving at the first chance. He said there's no problem with that. But if you just came in and just did what you did without kind of preaching and saying how you're going to change, et cetera, even though I am going to give Dion his props for what he did at Jackson State, for winning those championships, for losing 5 games, for bringing new facilities there. Like that stuff's going to last still. I think the hope, I guess, was that he becomes SWAC commissioner or something, or, and has a bigger impact, which he still could do. Bomani also said that he thought the point always was to get to, a Power 10 school or whatever it is.
Power 5, yeah. It had to be, as we see now.
And he couldn't do it without coaching. Like this was one of the places that Bomani said, which this is my last point on it, was that this was one way he could get a head coaching job without being an assistant. And have a bunch of power and just kind of dive into it. Anywhere else, you probably would have had to be on somebody's staff, et cetera. So,
he didn't want the Colorado job though. He wanted the Auburn job. They said no, and he took the job that nobody wanted. Colorado. There's a reason why Colorado get good coaching. They don't want it. You can't succeed. Yeah, exactly. You can't succeed in Colorado.
In Colorado.
No, not at all.
And the last thing that I will say, Glenn, is I don't think that those things last. I think he left Jackson State and the SWAC too soon to make those impacts last.
Yeah.
I don't think,
for the school itself.
I think
the facilities are built. The facilities are built,
but they have to be paid for. And what happens, ask Howard, you can get people who give you a little bit of money, and then a couple years later, it's roaches and rats. Like you have to pay those, the SC, if you go to SC facilities, those facilities stay pristine and are constantly updated. And that's why they're doing it. Having a building built and then letting it go away because they don't get the TV viewership that they were getting this year in the last 4 years, and having the booster money. I don't know how that works over in the SWAC, but all of those things are important, because putting up a few bricks and then letting it go to crap doesn't help. And there just wasn't. I don't know that he made enough of an impact that it'll have waves of impact going forward as opposed to ripples.
I initially thought he'd be like the old coach from Grambling.
Yeah, Eddie Robinson.
Eddie Robinson. I thought he was going to be like that. Yeah, I thought he was going to stay for years and just make an impact and try to see all these things happen. But he bounced.
I will say this: you guys know I'm big on personal responsibility too. I did not donate any money to any HBCUs. I graduated from HBCU and love my HBCU and have not given like I should. So I'm also going to call myself out and all of us for not representing. You know what I'm saying? You do yourself. I'm not saying us. I'm saying in general as a community for representing. But hey, he's a college football coach. He did what college football coaches do. He left for a better job, and you let the chips fall where they may. I do think about the students though.
The better job part, I'm not sure that's accurate.
Better job,
more money.
Yeah, more money and bigger exposure. He's going to get bigger exposure. Colorado will get on national TV.
I don't know about that.
I bet they'll get at least one because Deion's there. They're going to get.
On the Pac-12 network.
Exactly, but they're going to play
on TV when they get their hat handed to him by USC or UCLA.
Yeah, but he couldn't get
Oregon, Utah,
he couldn't get that at
UCLA,
Jackson
USC.
State. He wasn't getting that at all. So
yeah, but Colorado was getting it anyway. The Pac-12 network was still showing the drubbings of Colorado. There's nothing changed for Colorado.
Yo, Glenn, they don't have no offense or no defense. They just
and that's what Deion's about to do, man. He coming through. He's coming through swagging on y'all.
Can't win with them.
Right? Yeah, we're gonna see. I mean, I don't. He's not responsible to save the whole swagger HBCUs, but I think touting yourself as the savior of it.
He's not gonna save the school of Colorado.
Right? We didn't. None of us said that he was the savior of SWAC and Jackson State. He said that. He said, I feel it's my responsibility to figure out how to get all the SWAC and HBCU players in for pro days. He put that out there.
They had pro days in there. I mean, he did it. He didn't say how long he did it. Dang, what y'all want him to sustain it? I did it once.
Man, all talk, man. He didn't do none of that.
Man, rough and tough. Well, hey, good luck to him, man. It ain't. Hey, God bless him. He got nothing to do with me.
Hey, Matt Rule's gonna have more success in Nebraska, and Nebraska is not a good program. Now, this ain't the '80s.
Who do they play?
Nebraska, they're in the Big 12.
Big 12, right?
Yeah, they lose a lot of games, but he'll be more successful than Deion. And I just found out by listening to Matt Rule's press conference why he's so comfortable in college. Because he knows in college, like Nick Saban, you don't need a good quarterback to win. And in NFL, you need one.
Run a system.
Yeah. You just run a system, put somebody in there that can run your system, you're good. So he's like perfect for college because I looked at his press conference, he's a salesman. That stuff don't work in NFL. You got to X and O people every quarter in the NFL. You ain't got to just sell people, get the best players in college.
With NIL, with NIL and with national TV contracts, Nebraska is a really, really hard program to bring back.
Yep.
Like you look at Ohio State, they're not in the middle of nowhere. Alabama, they're in the middle of nowhere, but Nebraska has to be brought back, and I think that's the part that's hard. If Nebraska was still considered a top team and he was coming in and taking over for someone who was competitive, that's a little bit easier. But when you're trying to revive a program from ashes, pretty close. It's not that bad, but that's really difficult. But you know what? Matt Rule is going to get paid a solid amount of money. Never put himself out as any type of savior, and he'll probably be there for 6-7 years.
Glenn, think Huskers when I was little, but not now.
Yeah. Think Deion Sanders, think Hugh Jackson with Cleveland. I'm telling you, that's what I'm comparing it to. I'm trying to tell you.
Once you say you could have just said, once you say Hugh Jackson, you ain't got to say nothing else. I already know where you're going, bro.
I was saying we already know what you think of Hugh.
Oh man, it's just
that man did nothing to you. He's not even in the game no more. He's still
I'm just like, why? I was thinking, just why would you take that job?
Isn't he coaching it? I think he's coaching at Grambling.
I think he's like offense coordinator or something like that.
I
mean, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Just why take that job just for Deion? Why? Why would you go to Colorado?
Well, maybe he'll replace Deion at Jackson State.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
That would be cool to see someone else come through and people pick up the mantle, but we'll see. I think Eddie George is still at Tennessee State though, right?
Yeah, he's still at Tennessee State. They don't win many games. My nephew's there.
That's fine.
Just graduated. This guy got shot at the DJ. Just graduated 4.0. Was a speaker at his graduation.
Nice.
A couple days ago on Saturday, but played for Eddie George.
When you were saying he left. That's crazy.
Yeah, but he's at Tennessee State, and he don't plan on going anywhere. He's trying to help them young men. So
that's cool.
Yeah. It's not all about football with him. It's about life as well and setting yourself up after college. So which is good.
Shots fired. All right, so let's slide into the pro ranks, man. Let's do like we do every week. Start with our teams, man. Whoever want to go first, because everybody won.
Well, shit, Brian, you up top. You had the thriller of the day. Actually, Glenn, you had the thriller too.
It was a stressful damn game, is what that was.
Yeah.
Look, we all knew coming into this game. I did have confidence. If we go back to the picks, I did say I thought that they would find a way to win it. and yet another close one. It's exactly what they did. I was talking to a friend early in the day, and I said, and they had jumped out to a lead. I said the Vikings always do this. They're going to get a 2-score lead. They're going to lose it. They're going to play the worst third quarter. I said all of this. They're going to play the worst third quarter you've ever seen, and then struggle to try and win one late. And all of that is what happened. We got lucky. We were playing someone who isn't used to those types of moments, and Mike White, and he threw a pick late. And ultimately, the team played well enough. I also called Kirk Cousins' stats. I said, "Oh, this is a 1-touchdown game. This type of game is where he gets the 1 touchdown and I said 200 yards or so. He got 175. But this was just kind of how this game usually goes. It was good to see the running game show a little bit of sign of life the last few weeks. Dalvin Cook has been having some issues getting yards, but he and Madison scored the 2 touchdowns, and the defense made big plays, which is what they've been able to do. So it was a very stressful game. Garrett Wilson is really good. There were a lot of catches that he made that were super impressive. I think he's definitely someone to look for that next jump next year, like a Chase, like a Jefferson. He's a really, really talented wide receiver. There's a lot of great talent on that team. Even what is the guy? Zonovan Knight. I mean, even he looked really solid, and they've already got Hall, so they've got a lot of young talent on that team. Jason, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that game.
Yeah, the Jets should have won. Anytime you hold Justin Jefferson to 45 yards receiving, you need to win that game. Minnesota, they've been winning games like this all seasons. Not a surprise. I wasn't surprised either way. In my point spread league, as you saw, I took the Jets plus the 3. I thought they were going to win, and then somebody told me they did not score. I'm like, oh well. I was hoping the best of both worlds, actually. Brian, you win by 1 or 2 points, and then I cover the spread. But you guys won and covered. So, but yeah, hats off to Minnesota's killing this year. They've been winning games. I think they're used to this time. I don't think Minnesota can play in the game unless it's like this. So
they haven't won, right? They're 10-0 in 1-score games,
right,
and 0-2 in any game that has a spread of more than 1 score.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this game, Glenn.
I got to see the first 6 minutes or so, because then we went and had breakfast and went to the game. So I didn't get to see the
Mike White threw the ball 57 times for the Jets, Glenn.
Yep.
57.
They're gonna have Jimmy G next year anyway.
Yards. And he really did not look bad most of the game.
His problem,
he made 2 mistakes. And those
they were 2 interceptions.
and those 2 mistakes cost them the game. In a game when you're playing against the Vikings and someone like Kirk Cousins, you can't make those mistakes when you're playing 9-win teams, right? And he made them, but he's got promise. He's a better prospect than Zach Wilson ever was.
Oh yeah, definitely better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wait, I thought his name was Josh. Zach
Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
All right.
Yeah. See, that's how bad he is. You don't even know his name.
While I'm talking about poor guy, I don't even know the boy name. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get to see it, man. I was, like I said, we were in Vegas. So I got there that morning, turnaround trip for me, got there that morning, met up with Mom and Caressa. Shout out to Miss Tasha Boyd and Caressa Boyd. We had a great time at the game, man. No write-ups for your boy. Sat calmly, cheered when he was supposed to cheer, stood up. I understood as I was sitting there and looking around, like, man, I get it. People behind you can't see. I'm like 6'1", so I understand. People in front of me weren't. We sat in front of a very nice family of Charger fans, man. Real cool. So it was a great game. The game was close. You said it was a thriller coup, but honestly, it should have not been that close. We should have won by at least 14. The catch that made it that close was Keenan Allen on a 4th and 12 in the corner of the end zone, making a superstar play. I would also like to say, Brian, I love you, but also F you. As soon as I trade the boy, that's his first touchdown I think I've ever got from Keenan Allen. I've had him for 3 years.
Yep. I think that was only a second for the season or something like that.
I did not get that one either. I didn't. As soon as I trade him, he scores in a long play. So that was hilarious. But I was there to see it. Raiders won. Honestly, the defense, they were scoring. The Chargers, they were moving the ball somewhat, but we had Carr threw a pick 6 that, some were saying it was PI. I don't think it was on the play, but Carr threw a pick six. Beyond that, they were not. Defensive line was on Justin Herbert crazy. They have to figure out that line. And I don't know if it's Staley. I don't know who it is, but that line was Swiss cheese. Chandler Jones had three sacks in the first half. I mean, they were just getting to him constantly. Defense was looking solid. They were running around. Keenan Allen made some comments about how he's, you can eat the secondary like barbecue chicken. It's over for them, and they took it to heart. And I hope every team does that. Offense was moving the ball. As the game went on, we started out slow, but Devontae's a monster. Josh Jacobs is a monster. And it was really fun to sit there in the stadium and watch it with my family. So
said they took it to heart. They took it to heart like Utah, because Caleb Williams had F Utah painted on his fingernails.
Yeah, he
shouldn't have did that. Yeah,
he should have chilled. They lost both games to him too. I'd have been chilling out anyway. But you win the game first. I learned that as a Raider fan a long time ago. I don't say nothing till the game is over. Game was over, and I was still like, "Are there no flags?" So
walking out the stadium, you sure we don't need to go back?
Right.
Yeah. So it was really an exciting game. They played well. Chargers do not look good. I wasn't super impressed by them the last few weeks anyway, but it's obvious they got some holes to fill too. They got talent, but
thank you for filling the line.
Yeah. Thank you for fulfilling my theory on how bad the San Diego Chargers coach is. He's a defensive coach, and they can't play defense.
He's so bad they don't even play there no more.
They can't stop the run. He doesn't create turnovers. He's a defensive guy. Whatever. He got his job after 1 year with the Rams, but whatever. That's another story. But hey, congratulations to the Raiders. They look like they got
giving up 5 sacks on Herbert.
And it was constant pressure.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like
constant.
The first play of the game was damn near like a fumble, strip fumble.
Yeah. Yep.
Crosby's on his hand, the first snap of the game.
Yeah. Yep. The Raiders got that run game going, man. They getting the ball to the right people. They won the game. I mean, they should have won the game. They were the better team.
Three in a row. Playing the Rams Thursday. So yeah. What about these Niners, man?
Hey, like I said, you popped Tua in the mouth in the first quarter. He's off his game the rest of the game. He got popped a couple times, and basic throws he usually makes. He wasn't making them. This is in 55-degree weather. Imagine when you go to Buffalo, you know what I'm saying, playing in 30-degree weather. But I was going to actually pick Miami in my point spread league, and I changed it to the 49ers, mainly because I looked and saw who Miami has played in the last few games, and they played pretty much nobody. They played Pittsburgh. They played Detroit. I mean, they played nothing but bums on their schedule. So I'm figuring this is the first real defense that they're going to go against. With Chicago, Cleveland, and Houston too. So those are pretty much nobodies. 5-0.
Well, the best defense Tua's probably faced. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. You're playing against a real team, and so I'm not on that Tua hype train like everybody else. I'm just not. I think the MVP of that team is Tyreek Hill, not Tua. They tried to replace Tua.
I don't think anyone would argue with that.
Yeah, they tried to replace Tua twice. Well, so I don't want to hear how great he is just because his quarterback rating is
I don't know that they've ever tried to replace him, but Tyreek Hill is that good.
Tom Brady. And somebody else they tried to replace him with. They've tried
Flores,
to replace him.
I don't think Flores was trying to get rid of him, but the coach was telling them to chill out. I mean, the owner was telling them to chill out.
The team has never tried to get rid of him. Flores tried to get rid of him, and they got rid of him.
Yeah.
It didn't work out so well for him.
Yeah, so I'm happy that I'm hoping that I don't have to see Jimmy Garoppolo throw another pass
for the
49ers ever again.
That's not true.
People,
the day they announced that he'll be back for the
I know for 7 I hope
you're gonna need him. Honestly, like what you want, Brock Purdy or
I do.
Or Baker or
I want Brock Purdy. I want somebody who can evade pass rushers. That's what I want.
Okay,
Brock Purdy threw the ball 37 times, had 2 picks, and was still slinging the ball. And Jawan Jennings was mic'd up and said, keep slinging that ball. That's what I like. I don't give a damn about the interceptions. He was throwing the ball, making plays on the move. Jimmy's a statue in the pocket. As soon as pressure comes, he gets happy feet, tries to throw it 2 yards, and stuff happens. So I want Brock Purdy to beat Tampa Bay and beat the Raiders. If he does those, Garoppolo will not come back. He will not, because those are the 2 most important games on the 49ers schedule, the Rams and the Buccaneers next week. So we'll see what happens. But I'm fine riding with Brock Purdy. Now I can wear my hat because I don't fool with Jimmy Garoppolo.
I had points. Steve said couldn't move in the pocket. Now I ain't got nothing for that. That's fine. But I'm going to say Brock Purdy playing in the second half of a game that no one schemed for him for is very different than knowing who you're facing.
He was out there the second series. Garoppolo got hurt in the first quarter. And he still threw for 37 yards. Yeah, so when you throw 37 times as a backup, that shows that they see something in practice that you can do to have you 37 times. They have confidence in him. Garoppolo does not throw 37 times. They've said publicly they want him to throw under 28 times. So, I'm good.
I think Purdy, him keeping throwing kept the defenses honest enough. He threw picks, but kept them honest enough that the running backs could do what they could do. Like Jordan Mason had a good game.
Yep.
McCaffrey had a solid game, a good game, but he had 150 something, 160 something yards total. But anyways, I totally understand your point of view on Brock Purdy versus Garoppolo. But we were talking about this a little bit right before the show.
Yeah.
I do think that guys like Brock can get in moments that are too big for them. And when they're playing at home against a Philly or a Dallas in a playoff game, that moment is the reason why Mike White threw that pick against the Vikings. So, now he's got 5 games to kind of get to that point where he's comfortable, but none of those games are big moment games. Playing Tampa Bay right now is not a big moment game.
Right.
Playing a crappy Rams team, not a big moment game.
Good
playing the Raiders will be
build.
Though.
Good confidence build.
Yeah. You want them reps.
These are
you
good
want
for confidence building,
reps.
but when you're playing Philly or Dallas in their house in a playoff game,
absolutely.
That moment might be, and that's not to say that they shouldn't still do it. I mean, it's not. I don't think that San Francisco is going to win a Super Bowl anyway. But if they were going to, I think that might be a moment that will follow up a Brock Purdy.
Yeah, and I was telling someone at work, let's just say we go to Philly and lose. Can you definitively say if we had Jimmy Garoppolo, we would win? No, you can't.
You can't definitively say anything in the league.
Yeah, so it's I mean, you can't say it definitively at all. So if Brock Purdy lost in the playoffs against Philly, okay, cool, because Garoppolo probably would have did the same thing anyway. So I'm not thinking we would go around. I don't think our Super Bowl chances are crushed because Garoppolo is gone. I think it's exactly the same as before because Purdy can throw short passes and behind the line of scrimmage and hand off with the best of them, just like Jimmy Garoppolo. So
I think we've also seen this story where the backup comes in for Jimmy Garoppolo actually in San Francisco for the last few years. And Nick Mullins did it and won a few games, and CJ Beathard came in and did a few games. And then kind of to Brian's point and your point, you got to them big games where it really mattered and you had to do something, and you still only do so much. But to your point, if Jimmy's doing the same thing, what's the difference until you find who the man's going to be? So is what it is. Take the win and keep moving.
Right, exactly. You just try to get better as a team. At this point, all we need is just wins. However we get them, we get them. So
keep that defense rolling. That's because that's the heart of that team any damn way.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So it was cool. The only other, the rest of the games were, to me, or if y'all got something, the only other one the Chiefs and the Bengals, man. I was in the stadium when the Bengals won, so the stadium went nuts because it was all AFC West in there to see the Chiefs lose, but it looked like it was a game, man. Did y'all get to watch it?
What about you, Brian?
I called that one, didn't I, Jason?
I think you did. I called KC at first, and you saw my point spread pick. It was Cincinnati, so we were on the same side eventually.
But
ain't playing when his money's involved.
Yeah, look, Cincy, when they're healthy, and they weren't fully healthy, they didn't have Mixon, but when they're healthy, they're a very good team. And Joe Burrow is a really, really good quarterback who has been in those big moments and just knows how to play well. They obviously were able to play at that game at home. And look, it was a great game to watch because it was very interesting. You were always waiting for Mahomes to pull off some magic. I just, those are types of games that you can definitely sink your teeth into when you're watching and get behind all of that. It's interesting to see when Mahomes they don't have a running game in Kansas City, and he just seems to find ways to make it feel like there's a running game on that team with what he does with Pacheco. What he does is probably better than the way Josh Allen does it, which is just run. I mean, the running back is Josh Allen. But Kansas City showed some weaknesses. Cincy showed some moxie. I think you've got some great things to look forward to in a playoff game with either of those teams.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. The reason why I switched to Cincinnati is because not only do they play Kansas City tough, they have a defense, but people just don't know who they are. Yeah. Yeah, Cincinnati's defense. I picked them because Cincinnati's defense is better than Kansas City defense. Kansas City can be thrown on, and I think the Cincinnati defense kind of knows how to slow down. You can't, of course, you can't stop them completely, but slow down Kansas City enough for their offense to score enough points and win the game. And that's what happened. They won by 3. Now, Kansas City blew some opportunities, but so did Cincinnati. So the margin could have been more either side. But Cincinnati, they just match up with Kansas City well, and they end up getting the win, thankfully, helping me out and helping Brian's pick out as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I didn't get to see it, so I just saw that, and then I saw that the biggest cheers. Well, obviously with the Raiders winning, that we were cheering a lot, but the seeing the Chiefs went down and seeing the Broncos went down, stadium erupted, and that was fun.
What about Lamar Jackson? Did he mess up some money by getting hurt in this game?
It's one of the best defenses in the
he's gonna be
league.
back in a few weeks. So if it was so instantaneously, I was having conversations with people about it. If that was a season-ending injury, yeah, he would have cost himself a truckload of money. Right now, they're saying it's a jammed ankle, and so he'll be back in 1 to 3 weeks.
It's some nonsense. They talking about days to weeks. It's either one or the damn other. You can't tell me 2 days or 3 weeks.
He's almost certainly out this week. It's 1 to 3 weeks is what I read and heard from Dave was actually the one that put me up on that. But 1 to 3 weeks. And
it's what we used to tell bill collectors.
Man, yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with him taking 2 weeks off from a fantasy perspective. Because next week's the playoffs.
Man, that's crazy.
Next week is the playoffs?
Certainly matched up against Lamar
I need him
Jackson
out for 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
I need him out for 2 weeks then.
Yeah. And then he can come back in the third because the teams with Lamar Jackson will be out of fantasy football playoffs without Lamar Jackson.
Because I can win the first game. That second game, I'm going to play against a guy with Lamar Jackson as his quarterback. So I'm going to need him to play like somebody else. Yeah, just anybody. He could play Matt Stafford for all I care.
Yep. Conquistadors. I was real mad almost all season. Anyone who knows, I was supposed to draft Lamar Jackson as my quarterback, and he got taken right before I could, and I ended up with Russell Wilson. That did not work out well.
Man, that's right.
And I've been a little bit bitter all season about it. There's a little bit of irony. I won't say karmic justice because there's not justice in that, but it's just irony that I was complaining about not being able to get Lamar Jackson all season.
Now it's the playoffs.
And ultimately, ultimately, I mean, it would have worked out because I was still going to try and draft Cousins as my backup, and that's who I'm going to using. But this week I played Geno. Geno was either the number one, I think he was number 1 or number 2 quarterback in fantasy football this week. I think it was number 1. But
I still think he should have took that $175 million before the season started. But we'll see if it hurts him during negotiations.
As long as, like I said, as long as this wasn't a season ender and he can come back and they make the playoffs. If they go in 0 for 3 and end up missing out in the playoffs, this costs him a lot of money. If they make the playoffs, he will make his money one way or the other in the playoffs.
Think about how bad Denver is. Their defense gave up 10 points and they still lost the game.
You got to be salty
with Lamar out the game. That's how bad Denver is, man. Think that coach ain't getting fired? Come on, man. Come on.
I wanted to fire him after, was it week 2 or 1 that I said he is not?
You got on my level. I like to fire people quick. Get it over with.
You don't hire him.
I give people a little bit of time, but look. I think we're all on the same page now when it comes to coaches being fired. I think Denver's got to go. I think Chargers. I was about to say
Brad Staley. Oh yeah, that's my guy.
He's got to go.
Right.
I don't think that they're going to fire the Raiders coach, but
nor should they.
I think they showed enough signs of life that they'll give him another season. If next season's anything like this season, he's gone.
It won't be.
Now you can't even use, we got to work Devontae Adams in. Devontae Adams is leading the league in touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think we're solid, brother. Just got it. Takes time.
Well, your job openings are going to be the usual. It's going to be Indianapolis. It's going to be Houston. It's going to be the Chargers. Now,
Chargers the best job.
If Chargers the best job, but is Indianapolis a good job? I don't think it is. Houston is definitely not a good job. So
first time coach,
you got to go get a great quarterback guy for Herbert in
offensive guy. You need Sean Payton pretty much. Open the bank. Yeah,
ugly.
Yeah, and let me tell you, Denver's not a good job either. I'm just letting you know that right now. Denver's not a good job, not at all.
Got that defense.
Because you
If you
have the
can
Russell
get some
Wilson mega
serviceable,
contract hanging over your head.
Right.
you get some
Not good.
serviceable, you could work with it.
Not good.
What about this week? Any games that you guys are interested in? I mean, obviously our teams, but anything else? And
Let's see. Looking at it from a big picture, New York, the Jets, Buffalo is going to be a really big game from a divisional standpoint. The Jets need to win that game to kind of keep them in the playoff hunt. Buffalo needs to win that game to get back on track.
Yeah, they won't. Buffalo whoop the ass.
Yeah, so I think that's a big one. And then Tampa Bay, San Francisco is another big one from a playoff perspective. And then my game's important. We win, we're in. We
Let's go.
Yeah, but you got to talk about the other part of your game, the point spread.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about that. I don't know if we're going to go there now. If we want to, we can. But
go for it.
It is very, very interesting when a 5-7 team is now a 2.5 point favorite, depending on which book you look at, over a 10-2 Minnesota team. But as Jason and I were talking about it, more interesting than the fact that it opened up at a 1 point Detroit favor is that there's been a 1.5 movement in 4 days, which, as Jason, who bets a lot, has said does not happen. Does not happen. When you see a 1.5 movement, it is usually because there is something that is impacting the game. Someone got hurt. Someone was questionable that is now doubtful.
Yeah.
Someone popped positive for a test and is about to get a suspension. Something.
Yeah, they know some matchup or something.
There's something in there when you get that much movement. Yeah. Because it's, I was talking to a friend and he mentioned, well, over the last 5 games, Detroit's only lost to Buffalo. That's fine. Over the last 5 games, the Vikings have only lost to Dallas, which Detroit will almost certainly lose to, and they beat Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so, Detroit's been hot. They're playing really well, and all those other good things. But when you're taking a 5-7 team over a 10-2 team,
right. And this ain't college. This is NFL. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, that does not happen, and that kind of movement does not happen unless something's coming out. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and Glenn, not only that, Detroit is never favored against a team above 500. Never.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Yep. Then even when they're never favored at all. So the fact that they're favored, I was telling Brian, I'm not touching it. I'm not even picking this game in my point spread league because if the Las Vegas or the odds makers is confident putting out a Detroit minus whatever against Minnesota, the way Minnesota's been playing and who they beat, they know something that that's not being made
something
public.
out there that we're going to find out on Saturday.
Right.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Or after the game.
And here's the thing. I don't even think the NFL knows what Vegas knows because the other thing is they flexed the Minnesota game to Saturday for the following week, which they wouldn't do if they knew, Justin Jefferson or Dalvin Cook or
somebody's banged up. Yeah.
They knew something big. They're not going to flex that game to the only game being played on Saturday at 10.
Right.
If they think there's something going on. So it'll be interesting to see.
And Glenn, this isn't that obvious, but people were talking about, like professional bettors were talking about last week when Tennessee and Philadelphia played. If the point spread was Philadelphia -7, they were saying it should have been -3.5 or 4. Why is it -7? I think they're trying to sucker people to play Tennessee, and Tennessee got boat raced. They lost by 30.
Sure.
So they were like, when lines don't make any sense, you kind of stay away from them because you usually be able to explain why a point spread is why it is. And then when you can't explain it, you stay away from it. I can't explain this Detroit, Minnesota. Brian can, he's a fan. He can't explain it. I wouldn't bet it. And if Detroit won, let's say 30-17, nobody would be surprised because Vegas had Detroit as the favorite team. So they obviously knew something or some matchup that they can exploit.
But like we were talking about, when a point spread moves 1.5, that's a lot of damn money.
That's a lot of money.
Right. They made Detroit a favorite, and people people still put money on that. They moved it the other direction. Now, if they made the Vikings a 1 point favorite and then it ended up at 1.5 or pick 'em or something like that, you could sell people didn't have confidence in Minnesota, and they put the money on Detroit. But it was already over there, and it got moved. That's
And what moves lines, Glenn, is sharp money. Sharp money, they put 5 and 6 figures on games. So
sharp money is they know people in the locker room.
Right.
They know when someone's feelings got hurt.
Right. They know something going on. Right. Exactly.
I like to every once in a while throw a conspiracy theory out there. Hey, Jelani. And this is definitely one of those that if I can't explain it, it's because something's not right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, real talk. Other than that, I ain't got nothing else
Yeah,
for
I'm
this
cool
week.
there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what
San
about the?
Francisco? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
You
gonna say
don't
San
talk about the
Francisco, Tampa
Niners.
Bay.
I'm hoping San Francisco wins. This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that
Hoping San Francisco. We know that, man. You a fan.
No. This is why though. I'm hoping 49ers make it to the NFC title game, and so everybody can throw out this whole quarterback wins and Jimmy Garoppolo stat. I'm tired of hearing about wins. That's hogwash. Quarterback wins. I don't want. That's not a stat. You know what I'm saying? So if Brock Purdy makes it to the NFC Championship game, I don't want to hear nobody talk about Garoppolo and his 40-19 record.
But what if they lose?
You know?
Then you're gonna have to hear for it times two. Everyone's coming out of the woodworks, man.
Should have keep Jimmy. Got to keep Jimmy. Got to resign Jimmy. Yeah.
Yep.
So whatever. We'll see. I'm hoping.
They need to keep.
Yeah.
All right. So sliding from that to the NBA. Any just quick hitter thoughts, man? Lakers lost to the Cavs today.
Lakers lost today. Mm-hmm.
But AD had a hell of a
Horrible
week.
fourth quarter.
AD had a hell of a week last week, though. I think he had 95 points in 2 games or something ridiculous. But yeah, so that's kind of Laker hits. Anything else that's kind of surprised you guys or you're?
Yeah, we beat Milwaukee. That was a surprise. I ain't gonna lie.
They played good on the low. I was watching that game.
Yeah, they played so well, but you know what? Anthony Davis only played 8 minutes today. I didn't get to watch the game. I was following it. I'm guessing that means that he got hurt again. But he has been playing outstanding basketball. Great big man basketball. Just doing everything you possibly can. It's not a surprise to me that the record is skipped a beat the minute he only plays 8 minutes. It's obvious that as AD goes, the team goes. They can win with LeBron against other teams, but they need AD to play big in order to keep these streaks they had. And for a moment there, when they were 10 and 12, I was like, oh man, they might get to 500. I might be wrong about that. Then today happened, and I'm feeling very comfortable that they're going to be sniffing the underside of 500 most of the season.
I mean, they still need wing defenders. They still need shooters. I mean, they can probably go on little streaks here and there, but that's not sustainable, especially not in the playoffs.
But they were playing good teams who were playing well against them.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to AD tonight. I didn't, like I said, I didn't get to watch the game.
Yeah.
But I did see that it was a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter, and then they were down by 13 with 6 minutes left. So, that's the way it goes.
Yep.
Word.
Oh, Davis left the game because of flu-like symptoms.
Okay.
That means a knee.
I was just about to say it's not an injury, so I'm fine with it.
For all those who aren't aware, not only is COVID still around, but it's also going up rapidly right now.
Mm-hmm.
We just bought a whole bunch of N95 masks. But anyways, I hope he's all right. I'm really glad to see that it's flu-like symptoms or something and not an injury, because he's really been playing great. I mean, just outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that's kind of all I really had. NBA's actually, there's been some good games going. Teams are looking good, but I ain't got really nothing else. Man, I'm a shift. I know we were talking about just a quick word to the World Cup as it's going on, man. If anybody's a football fan, it's actually been kind of some exciting games. Portugal went crazy today, won 6-1 over Switzerland without Cristiano Ronaldo, which was crazy to see. Also, shout out to all the African nations that were in the World Cup. This doesn't happen in a lot of years. So Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Senegal, Cameroon, and Morocco is actually advancing as they beat Spain in penalty kicks today. So yeah, it's there's some interesting soccer going on if you're into it. So that's what's up there. Give me what's up with this hogwash, man. Give me what's happening in sports right now. That's hella hogwash, man. What's
I gave you my hogwash. Quarterback wins.
You want me to say something? You won't like it, Glenn, but
what's yours, Brian?
What's hogwash?
Come on.
People supporting the World Cup.
Oh, hilarious.
There has literally not been a sporting event in our lifetime that is ripe for tragedy and everything else that has gone on over there. For those of you who watch it, there's an excellent piece about 25 minutes long by John Oliver about about this World Cup and all the things that happened, the people who were killed, the people who were enslaved,
during
they literally built a new city in 10 years that did not exist, that housed when they only had 300,000 people, and the whole city is the size of Connecticut. They had to change the time frame of it. And they were smart in that they realized that the minute that the first ball gets put out there, most people would forget about it and just enjoy a very fun event,
Yeah, soccer.
and forget the blood that was spilled, the travesties that were done, the hypocrisy that made that whole thing possible. And they took a gamble. The gamble has worked out, and that's what I think is hogwash, is that so many people forgot the last decade of what was going
Yeah.
on and support the event.
I live in
Yeah.
America, bro. I do that every day. Every single day I wake up and get in my car. So
Yeah. What's
cool.
hogwash is Baker Mayfield coming to the 49ers. That was never, ever if that happened, I wasn't watching a game the rest of the season if he played. Hell
Oh
no.
man,
That's
Oh, man.
hogwash. He went to where he was supposed to go, a place where he can do more commercials, the LA Rams. That's where he went. Very good.
You gotta play to do commercials.
hey, so I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So a buddy of mine, Dave, shout out to you, talked about how I either read it or whatever, that the
Pincer
main
picks.
reason that they were doing it is that they have no draft picks, and that they get a compensatory draft pick because they took him off of waivers and took his contract on. If he gets signed next year, they get a compensatory pick, which is a draft pick, I think, between rounds 3 and 5, which is a huge value to a team that gave all their draft picks away to get
F them
the
picks.
the trades.
Okay.
I'm like, that's
Well,
smart. You pay you'd pay $1 million to get a draft pick if you were an
hey,
NFL team.
well, if Baker Mayfield gets signed, then Jay Cutler needs to come back. Because if Carson Wentz and Baker
Jay
Mayfield
Cutler
get
did
signed,
come back.
so he needs to come back
Jay
again.
Cutler.
He was literally one weekend he was in the booth talking, doing a Sunday morning, and then the next week he was starting. I can't remember which team it was, but it was starting. I mean, the only
Yeah.
person who's gotten more second and third chances is, what was it, Kyle Bowler? Not Kyle Bowler. The guy who drank a lot from Chicago.
That was Jay Cutler. No, I'm sorry, Jimmy.
No.
No, that was who drank a lot. I don't remember.
Yeah. He anyways. I'll try and remember it, but
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
You know who our, but you guys know who our backup is, right? He's on like his 20th team.
Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson.
Yeah,
Yep.
word.
That's our
I
backup
hope
now.
he plays. That's who needs to get a start. He'll go crazy like Geno
Oh
Smith.
he started before, and
Yeah,
he
he
keeps
started
getting
for
cut
y'all.
and signed. Yeah, he keeps
That was
getting
same
cut
thing
and
happened to
signed.
Geno till they gave him a shot in a real team.
Man. I think he's
Word.
played on every team in the
Orton,
NFL. I think he
Kyle
plays some
Orton.
real teams.
Oh,
Kyle Orton. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Kyle
he'd
Orton.
pop up. He'd go and be drunk on a
Yeah.
beach in Jamaica. The next week be the backup quarterback for Dallas,
Yeah.
and like. Anyways,
The
the only one
problem
who's
is-
gotten more.
that's what I want to do.
Yeah, Bears, Broncos, Chiefs, Cowboys,
Yeah,
and
over
Buffalo
Kyle
Bills.
Orton.
Yeah, I remember.
They
he
were
played.
not all year
I
after
think
year.
he went to Purdue. I think too. Yeah.
He did go to Purdue. He was a Boilermaker. He
Uh,
drinks Boilermakers.
this guy. I was gonna say, man, it's not really. It's kind of a silly one, but Father Time, man, hogwash, bro. Like taking out my favorite athletes, man. Tiger Woods. It's pretty much just, we all
He
knew it was
can't walk.
over, but he said, yeah, he could hit any golf shot you want, but he can't walk. It's over. We know. We'll see what Charlie does, but still, Tiger Woods was the greatest to ever do it. Obviously, my lifetime, arguably the best golfer ever. So it's crazy to see him, at the end of his career. It happens, accidents, all that. Additionally, he said he can hit any golf shot you want, but can't walk. I can walk, but can't hit any golf shot. So that's great. But that was my thing, man. It's been a great show. I love you guys, man. Always a pleasure doing it. We're at the end of the show. This is your chance to say whatever's on your chest off. Your chance to have the floor, man. So
Man,
if y'all
I'll
got
be
something,
quick.
go for it.
I'll be quick. I'm tired of hearing Jalen Ramsey and Yao Alexander being mentioned as the top corners in the league. Jalen Ramsey has been getting ate up all year, over 100 passer rating passing his way. Just if you want a completion, just go Jalen Ramsey's way. Everybody else does. And Yao Alexander, I don't know what he don't tackle. He was a good guy. I wanted to want him on the 49ers, but he's not any good either. These cornerbacks, they kind of come hit and miss. One year they're good, one year they're not. That's my minute to win it. Just stop telling me how good Jalen Ramsey is, because he's not really that good. That's all.
Helps when you got Aaron Donald in getting the quarterbacks in 1 second. Also, he's been out and he hasn't looked too good. But yeah, B.
Congratulations to Warnock for winning a very, very, very
Morehouse.
close race in Georgia. Morehouse, but very important that we got that 51-49 instead of the 50-50 in the Senate.
That's
hopefully
hogwash.
It'll take Manchin has lost a lot of power tonight. I don't think anyone was rooting against the Democrat more than the Democrat, Manchin. because he was able to do a whole lot for the Republican Party as a Democrat playing blue. But anyways, and the other thing is, congratulations to the state of New York and Manhattan for trying and getting the Trump organization found guilty on criminal fraud charges. Trump himself was not being prosecuted, but this definitely opens the door to direct prosecution because this is a criminal act. They were convicted. His name is on was all over everything.
Yeah.
And this was a first major finished complete blow to Donald Trump.
Respect. Yeah. Hey, get him out of there. I ain't mad at it. So mine is just like Coop has done a few weeks before, man. Just thank you guys for listening. If you make it to right now, that means you are a fan. And I really appreciate you because you listen to the whole show. We love you. Thanks for checking us out. It's been, like we always say, something that we've been doing for years. Great to do for a few years. So thanks for checking us out. That's the Sports Counterpoints podcast. GB, Brian, and Coop. It's December 6th, 2022. And we'll see you next week.